Like a wise man once said, let's fucking go. Deadpool and Wolverine was directed by Sean Levy and stars Ryan Reynolds once again as the Merc with a mouth, and in fact brings back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine 7 years after Logan ended, which was of course an interesting surprise because you remember how Logan ended, right? It's been a while since X-Men Origins Wolverine in 2009. At the time I remember seeing that movie and thinking, there's some stuff here, but also I don't know if that's exactly supposed to be how you do Deadpool and Wolverine in a movie together, but okay. And then after all that time, the Deadpool movies that have followed since have sort of made up for that in one way or another. You had a very big redemption with that first Deadpool movie, which really got the character right. It followed up with a really fun sequel, which I thought was a blast too. And then with Logan, you got a great conclusion for the Wolverine character and a movie that I actually consider as the best Marvel movie ever made. And I think that when it comes to this movie, naturally, that pairing seemed inevitable, that second chance. And so in a lot of ways, this is a movie that was predicted for years. After all the jokes that have been made by Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman off screen, it was bound to happen. And so now this movie exists where the two of them team up and they have to save the universe. And that's really all I'm going to keep the details to about it because I don't want to give anything away that could, potentially mess up that experience for you. But also, while I was excited about going into the movie, having been a massive fan of the first two Deadpool movies, I was also a little skeptical because I loved Logan so much. But at the same time, Deadpool and Wolverine is a very different movie than Logan. While that was a much darker movie with a very somber theme and tone to it, over here, this is an action comedy with a lot of bloody violence and a lot of jokes and a lot of, humor throughout. And it's doing its own thing. And it's something that is important because Deadpool really works in his own realm. And it's why I love the first two movies is because I feel like they got that just right and I was able to really enjoy what they were doing with that character. And it did with that character exactly the things that I wanted them to do with the character. The streak with that continues in Deadpool and Wolverine. Once again, there is a fundamental understanding of these characters which is on display throughout. And it's so great to have Deadpool back. I actually forgot how much I missed seeing him for a minute there because as soon as he appeared on screen, I was just overjoyed. I had a smile on my face. This is one of those characters that I absolutely love. And then, of course, the camaraderie with Hugh Jackman, something that people have been really, really waiting to see, is gangbusters. They both work off of each other wonderfully, and the chemistry and bromance that's between them throughout the entire thing is wonderfully executed. And Hugh Jackman is just a natural. I'm so glad circumstances went the way that they did in 2000 that it got him cast as Wolverine. Because everything from then to now, every time he's played that character, it's just been exactly the way that you want a Wolverine performance to be, regardless of, height differences and all that. But at the same time, this is also a movie where you get a little bit more because this is with a suit. That's something that people have been wanting to see for a long time. Him in the iconic yellow and blue outfit. He's in that over here. And it's awesome to see them costumed up and going into these action sequences. It's an absolute blast. And the resulting action and violence that comes from that is exactly what you'd expect from it and as gory and violent as it gets. This is the first R-rated Marvel Studios movie. This is something that has been made note of. And it absolutely delivers on that in spades. This is very much an adult movie. It's easily the most, bonkers Marvel Studios movie in that sense. And the action sequences are all extremely fun and entertaining. And it's really, really well-crafted stuff. There's a couple of fights that happen between Deadpool and Wolverine that you've seen snippets of in the trailer. Really, really fun moments. I had an absolute, grin again on my face watching those. It was such a great time. And much like the other two Deadpool movies, I think what this one also does nicely is it sort of understands exactly where the line should be drawn on certain things and how to make certain things happen. It is, of course, a very self-aware movie. There are jokes that are made in here constantly to things that you would expect Deadpool to make fun of. There are lots of jokes made about Disney and Fox because the buyout happened between Deadpool 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. And so there's so much guts, being referenced over there. But also, the movie has call-outs to the character where it's like, hey, this or doesn't really work, or this works, and it constantly acknowledges that. Which at this point of time, when it comes to the character of Deadpool, either you're on board with that or you're not. Personally, when I speak for myself, I think that it absolutely works. I love the humor that comes with these movies, and I love the reverence that it has to upholding that in the best ways possible. And so in that way, I think the movie succeeds in everything that it needs to do. It's got a very effective villain in Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin. I thought they did a really, really good job, and I really like the scenes with Cassandra as well. And the movie is consistently entertaining. From the very opening to the ending, it has you. And there are so many things that happen in here, and I had such a great time witnessing all of that, and it's filled with a ton of stuff that I'm sure people are going to really, really like, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. Especially if you're massive fans of, Deadpool and Wolverine and just everything that has consisted that, in that universe for as long as it has. But for all the humor and self-referential digs that it takes, it's also a movie that has a lot of heartfelt moments in it. There's a few things that definitely got me. There were things that swept me. And I think that applies to the other two as well, where it's like, it understands the heart of things while also understanding the humor. Both of those go hand in hand. And I think the balance over here is really nicely done. Once again, great soundtrack, some wonderful songs placed in here, and some great scenes synced to those songs. A couple of them are all-timers for me, especially when it comes to the MCU in general. There's some really, really fun stuff over here. Overall, I was just really happy with it. I know that Marvel has had a bit of a high and low thing when it comes to the stories that it's been telling so far, especially when it comes to all the stuff in the multiverse. In fact, ironically enough, the only movies I liked recently since Spider-Man No Way Home, which was multiverse related, the only ones I really loved had nothing to do with the multiverse. Those being Wakanda Forever and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Beyond that, the other ones I feel like have been, not as good as they could be. But this, I would say this one is definitely, cream of the crop for sure. And it puts the entire trilogy for me at 3 for 3. I love Deadpool and Wolverine. I have honestly got no major issues with it. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. Does it top Logan? Does anything top Logan? I mean, really, when you think about it. But it's a very entertaining movie in its own regard, and a very, very great movie in its own regard. And so, while it might sound crazy, I'm gonna give Deadpool and Wolverine an honest to God 10 out of 10. This is not even hyperbole. I'm just genuinely it did everything that I wanted it to do, and more. But I'll talk more about some of that in the spoiler review. We'll get to that when we get to that. I'm just really happy with the movie overall. I'm just very satisfied, and I'm so glad that it exists, and I can't wait to see it with a packed crowd, just waiting to hear what they have to say about it. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.